You don't need wind for flying kites. You just need air pressure, and I'm creating the air pressure by making the lights. And I've gone dizzy, I'm afraid now.
Now, Malcolm, how on earth did you amass the biggest collection of kites in the Western world?
Well, it started with me doing land yachting.
Land yachting?
That's like a vehicle on the beach or an aerodrome and being blown with a big sail blown around.
Like windsurfing on the beach?
That's right, yes. Yeah. But sometimes there wasn't enough wind for it, so I was always thinking, what can I do? And then I was in San Francisco on a holiday, and I saw two men flying kites, and that gave me a thought, oh, well, why don't I build a kite? So I did that when I came home, but while I was in America, I joined a kite club and found out that they were going to go to China and Japan.
Wow.
And luckily I managed to go with them. And it was after the Cultural Revolution in China, where kite flying had been banned, all the kites were destroyed, people were put in jail. And I could see that kites were no more basically in China. So I wanted to try and collect kites so people could see them in England and everywhere else.
And when was this? What year?
It was the mid-70s. I was working as an electronics engineer, and I managed to get 6 weeks off work.
What, your bosses gave you 6 weeks off to do what? To just go and fly kites?
Yes, to travel around Japan, China, and to go to kite festivals in the Far East.
So hang on a minute, so this kite thing really bit you, a real serious bug?
I fell in love with the kites, fantastic skills that they have in making kites, beautiful designs, and made out of silk, bamboo, so simple. And everyone I met was really very kind to me. And in China, they'd just finished the Cultural Revolution and they'd never seen English or any white people at all. So it was amazing to be around everybody.
And so you started buying the kites in 1975.
Yes.
And now this is the biggest collection in the Western world. I mean, have you stopped buying kites, and how many have you got in total?
I would think altogether it's probably near 2,000 kites. Not all of them Chinese and Oriental. A lot of them are Western kites as well. And
there's some very big kites, Malcolm. Anybody watching this who remembers flying kites as a kid will remember the standard kind of lozenges.
The diamond.
The diamond. But I mean, the elephant, or rather dragon, in the room is absolutely monstrous. Now, is that actually a kite?
Well, this is the head of a dragon kite made in Indonesia, and I brought this back 2 years ago. I had a bit of difficulty, but I managed to get it, because this is just the head. The body is 100 metres long.
100 metres?
Yes.
Well, how does that work?
It had 100 discs, and they're about a metre apart. So what happens, we have a team, someone to run the tail out. The tail goes up first, and then it just brings the head up. And they're a fantastic thing to see in the sky.
So 300 feet long in the sky?
Yes.
And how many people would it take to control this thing?
Well, we'd have to anchor it. There's no way I could hold this kite. It has to be anchored to a car or a sandbag or something like that.
Right. But it's quite a skill, quite obviously.
Well, it is. It takes a bit of practice.
A bit of practice. I think you've been very modest.
But if you just, I don't know what if you can.
Go on, I'll follow you around. Show me around as we're going.
Show the inside.
Oh, wow. It's obviously very light.
Yes, it's bamboo.
Bamboo, okay. So is this a handmade thing?
Yes. It's made in a small village in Indonesia. A very skillful kite maker.
And that's what they do for a living?
Yes.
And what kind of money is it worth, Malcolm?
Well, this would be about £1,000.
Well, it doesn't sound a lot for a 300-foot dragon.
No, exactly, no. I think I got a bargain, exactly.
And what about the history of kite flying itself? I mean, I remember flying kites as a kid, but I've never once thought about where they came from and who invented them. What's the backstory?
Well, no one knows exactly, because things weren't written down before, but we think probably about 5,000 years ago maybe, and there would be a leaf from a tree.
This is how it started?
This is how it started, with a leaf.
Why would they fly a leaf? Just for fun?
Well, no. I think what they must have been on the beach somewhere and seen a leaf fall away somewhere, and then they attached some hemp, which comes from the trees.
Okay.
And then they would have a line coming from the bottom with a cobweb on. The spiders in Malaysia and Polynesia are gigantic and they're very sticky. So he's got control of the kite with this line going with I'm trying to think what it is now.
The cobweb.
The cobweb, that's right. It would bounce it up and down, so the fish would think
on the water.
On the water, that's right.
Oh, I see. So they weren't doing it for fun and pleasure. They were doing it actually for fishing.
Exactly. Yes. I don't know.
Oh, you've got to. Oh, I see.
Show you here.
Oh, I see. So let me just have a look at that illustration. So there's the leaf kite.
That's made up of a few leaves. Together.
So you've got one.
It is in his canoe.
So he's got one hemp line to him, and then one hemp line
goes down to the.
To the cobweb.
That's right.
And then he can cast it out. Right.
And he bounces that on the.
So this is many thousands of years ago.
Oh, exactly. Yes. We don't know exactly. And no one could read it.
That's amazing. And it was obviously in the Far East that these things were invented.
Yes.
And it's always been a huge pastime in the Far East and taken exceptionally seriously, isn't it?
Very. I mean, religious, health-wise, and there's all sorts of positives about flying kites.
Well, what about the health thing?
Well, the Chinese think if you fly in a kite, your head goes back slightly. As you look up in the sky, your mouth opens, and that gets rid of excess body heat and keeps your yin and your yang correct, so for a healthy life.
Right.
Also, you're running around, keeping fit as well. It's a fantastic. I'm nearly 80 now, and I'm as fit as a lop. So
well, I'll tell you what, you're looking pretty good. And do you put that down to kite flying?
Definitely, yes.
So when you're flying a kite, you're working your muscles.
Yes, that's right.
You're using your brain because it's quite tactical.
That's right. Yes, you have to be on your toes, of course. A lot of kites.
And good for the eyesight.
It is. It keeps. That's the other great advantage. Exactly. Keeps your eyesight.
So it is healthy. Now, why don't kids fly kites anymore, Malcolm?
Well, it's a sad thing, but I'm afraid they're all at home or somewhere on the computers or on their iPhones doing different games, and they just do not get out into the open. And it's a fantastic thing they should be doing. I go into schools a lot and teach children how to make and fly kites. And when I go into the schools, they see me coming in the morning and I have a talk about it, and they could see they're not interested basically. So once they've made the kite, we go out in the afternoon and then we fly the kites, and they're flying all over, and they're running backwards and forwards with smiles on the face and shouting. And then the teacher said, I've never seen children, they're acting like children now. They're fantastic. So it's a wonderful thing to do once they realise how much fun there is in kite flying.
Well, look at the irony of that. A teacher saying, this is remarkable, the children are like children. Yes. This is exactly what they're supposed to be like. Exactly. How do we get kids out there flying kites and stop being unhealthy? Because children, sadly, are pretty unhealthy, and this is generalising, and unhappy.
Exactly.
Is kite flying a happy experience?
Very, and you make lots of friends. Everyone comes up to. If you're flying a kite, someone comes, oh, I used to remember that when I was older. And so they come and you have a talk to you, and they have good memories of flying kites.
So it's a good social thing as well, then.
Exactly, yes.
Now, what about this one, Malcolm? He's a fine figure.
Well, this is Rodney.
Rodney.
And he's a crane, and the crane in China and Japan is a symbol of long life, longevity. He does collapse, the wings come off and his legs come off, and that's about it.
Wow, he's quite. I mean, how high will Rodney fly?
Well, he'll fly as long as my kite line is, but it's no good flying them very high because you can't see them. So we fly them probably 30, 40 feet, and we do have a height limit in England of only 60 metres we're allowed to fly to.
Okay, and when you're competing, I assume there's competitions involved here.
Yes.
What are the rules, and what's the aim of the competition?
Well, mainly competitions is on the design of the kite, how well it flies, but mainly we just fly kites to show people really. We We have a few, say, competitions, but not too many. But we do have two-line kites where teams compete against each other for how they manoeuvre them in the sky and make wonderful displays.
And you've travelled all over the world with these things.
Yes, we've been to over 50 countries.
Really?
Yes. So
now
we're very privileged.
You've got a nice smile on your face. You're happy in this environment. It must have cost you an absolute fortune over the years.
I hate to tell you. Oh, I wouldn't know, but it's hundreds of thousands probably. Luckily, we do get sponsorship and accommodation when we're away as well.
Right, so there's a bit of celebrity status involved in being the owner of the largest collection of kites in the Western world.
I'm not sure about that. But,
so hundreds of thousands of pounds. Now, looking around, it's all very oriental, which we would expect. Is there anything else? Oh, what's that there, Malcolm? What is that? Oh, is that the actual tail of...
This is the body of the dragon. You see,
so it's concertinaed up.
That's right. This one is the dragon behind you, which you'll show. They're 1 metre apart when it's all strung out.
Oh, I see.
And if we look at this picture, you'll be able to see.
Oh, that's him in action. And that's 300 feet.
Yes.
That is absolutely mental.
And to your left, there's my wife and a team about to launch a kite.
Wow.
It takes about 5 or 6 of us.
And where was this?
This would be in Middlesbrough, I think.
Oh, right, so local to us now.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. But you take these kites with you all around the world?
Yes, we have problems, taking a lot of them because they aren't easy to bring down. There's Princess Anne with Rodney. I did a kite festival for her a long time ago now.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Help one of her horse charities.
And was she particularly interested?
Oh, yes, she flew Rodney as well. Yeah.
Did she really?
Yes, yeah.
So it has a royal connection, Rodney the Royal Connected Crane.
It was a story. She came back, didn't have any wind at all on the morning, and she was arriving at lunchtime, so we couldn't do anything.
Mm.
And she came in a helicopter, plonked down, and then soon as she got off, the wind blew.
Brilliant.
We got wind.
Brilliant.
And we were great. We did a lot of flying. And then she went back in the helicopter and the wind went.
Fantastic.
Just don't know how that happened at all.
By all accounts, she was a lot of fun, is that right?
Exactly, yes.
Now, what about the eyes on this one? Have I heard that the eyes can move
yes,
on these?
They are. I'll bring you another one, or this one behind me.
Okay. I think I've seen this on a documentary before. All right, okay. So,
right. So when the wind blows...
Oh. Oh, that is fantastic.
And again, I can show you, there's 100 pieces of bamboo on the frame of the kite.
Wow. And this was made where?
This is in China.
China. And how much would it cost to buy something like that?
Nowadays, probably £300 to £1,000 now.
Really, as much as that? Well, I can see it.
Luckily, when I was buying them, they were much cheaper than that. People didn't realise.
But they are pieces of art, aren't they? I mean, they really are.
Oh, exactly. Everything comes off, the horns come off and bits and pieces to make it more transportable.
What's the plan, Malcolm? We're going to have a look around the museum here, because this is a private museum, isn't it?
Yes. They wouldn't allow me to open it to the public for health and safety reasons.
Oh, I see. So the idea was to open it, but you never did.
To help tourism, yes.
Okay, but you've got the museum, which we'll have a look around, and you've got several garages full, I hear.
Yes.
What are you going to do? What's the plan for the collection?
Well, I'd like it to go to a museum or an art gallery, even just a store, but it has to be kept together, I want. I have offers from Thailand, from Denmark and Italy. People want the collection. But I really would like it to stay in England, because you would have to travel to China and Japan to see all these kites. Mm. And I would like it, so people in Britain will be able to see these fantastic things.
So you are looking to move it on?
Exactly. We must downsize. My wife we're rattling around in this big house.
Right. Okay, so you're looking for a new owner. Are you wanting to sell the collection?
No, I will give it away to the right person, certainly, yeah.
Okay, but it has to be put on display to the public?
Well, not all the time. It wants to be kept, and then now and again they could do a Chinese one.
I see.
And then another exhibition in Chinese or Malaysian, and, just alternate the countries.
But to be kept in England?
please, yes, I would.
Oh, well, that's a wonderful thing to do. Now, I can't help but be drawn to that one at the end there, which is with the aeroplane. That is quite obviously not a Far Eastern kite, although it's definitely a Far Eastern aeroplane, I assume. Tell me about that.
Well, this is in the Second World War. We were having big problems at sea. Lots of the Americans joined us, and they had lots of warships, and they were getting targeted by the Japanese
What, the kamikaze?
kamikaze. I'm dyslexic, I'm afraid. So
Oh no, you're fine. No, I get you. So that is an image of a kamikaze plane.
That's right, yeah. And what that does, they would fly them from the back of a battleship. I don't know why you can see that.
Oh, there's another illustration. Okay, so there it is.
There's the man with his box and flying the kite.
Okay, so they're flying in the air.
Flying this way, and this is it's about 100 meters from the ship.
Yeah.
The size of it would be the same size as what a plane would be. So then the gunners would come out. Gunners would start aiming at this kite, and to make it more difficult, I don't know whether you can see the bottom of it has a rudder. Can you see how I'm controlling the rudder?
Got you.
By pulling this way or that way.
Yeah.
So I can make it go in circles or anywhere I want in the sky.
Okay.
Just like the plane would do. So the gunners would come out and aim at this and try and shoot it out the sky.
Made for target practice.
Exactly, yes.
That's remarkable. So this thing shouldn't really be in existence, should it?
No, it's probably nearly 80 years old, I would think now.
So there can't be very many of these left around.
Well, yes, because most of them were shot down, of course.
Well, that was the whole idea, was it? Wow, so that's quite a survivor. I've never seen that before.
No, there's not many around. This one is stuck together with sellotape and everything else behind it.
Well, I'm sure it's had a bit of a rough old life, hasn't it?
A bit of a life.
Now, that's a bit of very interesting, you know, modern history. Second World War. That is fascinating.
No one knows about it.
Nobody knows about it. I don't know about it.
No.
And what about that one?
Well, again, in the Second World War, our pilots were coming back from Germany or wherever, and they'd probably get shot down, or if they were shot down over the channel, they'd pull the parachute and away they go, and it would come down with a metal box which contained this, because this all collapses, it goes and it comes in half, and this is a box kite, and it depends on what the wind is like on the particular day, because if you're on, there's a point there to attach the line to, which is a metal line which uses an aerial. That's 15 miles to 40 miles an hour. This one is 7 to 20 miles an hour.
Oh, okay.
So you attach the straight, the metal line to it's wanting to collapse itself now.
So is this like a kite flare? Am I right? To let the spotters know where you are?
Not really, no. This takes the aerial up. And
it's got an aerial attached to it.
Yes, that's right. And then the pilot has a generator where he can generate electricity, and then he has a transmitter, so he sends SOS messages and things, so he could be found and rescued out at sea. Well,
that is, again, I've never heard of such a thing. I didn't even know they had that sort of technology.
Used by the Americans and the British. And again, it saves thousands of lives.
Absolutely incredible. And value-wise today, how much are these things worth? I mean, so difficult.
After the war, they were very cheap indeed to buy these, because there was lots of them still. But probably, even now, you'd probably pay 50 or 60 pounds.
Well, easily, yeah. I mean,
well, this one you wouldn't. It's very difficult.
Well, several hundreds. I think for me that's a piece of art. I mean, you could class it as a piece of artwork on your wall. I certainly would.
Right, I'd like to. I was going to show you something. All right, we've looked. This is Charlie down here.
He's not a kite, is he?
No, he's a kiter.
A kiter.
Yes. And he
gets mudder in here, Malcolm.
Just stop it from going down. As we say, yes and no. And he flies two-line kites. So this is one line, that's the other line. So like doing with the the kite we've just spoken about, he can control.
Hang on a minute, are you seriously saying that he actually flies kites?
Oh yes, no, he's travelled around the world.
He actually flies kites?
Yes, he does. Yes, he has his own kites, all little kites.
So why would you operate him and you not fly the kite?
Well, it's much better for Charlie to do it. He's called Charlie.
Okay, fair enough.
And he enjoys it, don't you? Do you enjoy it?
I think he does, Malcolm.
Yeah.
So you genuinely take him to kite exhibitions and get Charlie to fly kites?
He's been Malaysia or America, and look at his eyes. Oh, sorry. I forgot which his eyes are now.
Do you have to pay for him on an aeroplane?
He just goes in.
He's making a funny sort of buzzy noise, isn't he?
See his eyes. He frightens people stiffly.
I bet he does, yeah. All right, Charlie. I think that's enough for you. Thank you very much. Now, what about noises? I have heard that kites do make noises,
Yeah,
or rather they can make noises.
In the Far East, Malaysia and China, they attach things to kites. This is attached to a Vietnamese kite. Beautiful kites made by a friend of mine, Mr. Cow, who now lives in England, and he makes this. So this is.
Wow.
So this goes on the top of the kite. The wind goes through these gaps.
Oh, I see.
And everything has to be tuned exactly to the next one. So
It's much more complicated.
Really fantastic skill to have. So the bigger it goes, the tone, the much lower. And in the sky, they're in the sky, and they sound absolutely fantastic. Just
Wow, so it's not just a feast for the eyes, it's a feast for the ears as well.
It certainly is.
And why would you have bows? There's bows there.
That's right, yes.
What are they?
These are mainly off Indonesian and Malaysian kites.
These are actually bow and arrows, are they?
No, we don't have any bows and arrows. This goes on again on the top of a kite, which we'll see later. Sorry.
My goodness me.
And this is a longer one, and I think it's, so you will see. And these in Japan, they also used to use these, and in the war they weren't allowed to put these on because they thought it was American bombers coming over.
Well,
so
I never.
There's big ones and small ones. That's just.
Now, what's the market like for kites today? So it's been around in the Far East for thousands of years. Is it as buoyant today as it always was?
No. The 50s, 60s, 70s were very, very popular then, but now it's a little bit restricted. We have there is some youngsters now who are flying two-line kites, which they can control and competing in competitions around Europe, and so there is luckily some who are interested in.
But what would your advice be then for anyone interested in flying kites? But again, specifically, I think, you know, older people, yes, retired people, very interested in flying kites, but how wonderful would it be to reintroduce children to flying kites? So if you've got kids or you've got grandkids, what's your recommendation? How do you get them involved?
Well, just go on the internet and put kite associations or kite clubs, and you will find one reasonably near you. And they have little competitions and kite flies on beaches and things like that. So it's you can join them. They're really pleased to see any new members and encourage children to fly kites.
And get out in the fresh air, Malcolm.
Get out in the fresh air.
Right, well, keep talking. Is there anything else in here you specifically want to show me? Because I want to have a look at the other pieces. Well, who's he?
That's a dog's head.
I saw that.
Right, if you come round here.
Okay. I assume he's got a long body.
Yeah, well. That's his body. It's a hamburger.
He's a hamburger dog. Okay. And how long would he be?
Oh, he's probably about 20 metres.
20 metres. Yeah. Okay. So you're pretty well known in the world of kites around the world.
Yes, I am. Yes, I have a lot of kite flying friends. Yes.
And I assume I have heard you mentioned as the Kite Man.
Yes, I've been christened that by children who, when I went into school, the Kite Man's come in.
The Kite Man. Well, that's not a bad nickname,
no,
is it?
No, it's nice, in fact. I just want to show you some nice, beautiful kites made by one of China's best kite makers.
That's tiny. That actually flies.
Oh, yes, yes.
And what kind of height would that fly at?
Or we'd just keep at probably 10 metres because we want people to see it.
Oh, that's absolutely stunning.
Can you see the deer?
Yeah.
That's a symbol of wealth.
Yeah.
Crane, which is a symbol of long life.
Yeah.
So I'd give this to someone who you wanted to, make happy.
Which is, what the Orientals do, the Chinese and Japanese. They do that on porcelain, but they also, I've now just discovered and didn't realise, they do it on kites as well.
Yes, no, that's...
How amazing.
This is a really beautiful one. These are all made by Mr. Harper.
And again, Chinese?
Chinese, yes.
And the dragon, auspicious dragon.
Yes, it's his mother and father trying to teach him to blow steam or fire from he's in the sea there. It's a very famous picture.
That's a 5-clawed
all
dragon.
hand painted, nothing's printed. Every one of my kites is hand painted.
So they're all individual works of art.
Exactly, yes.
So what would he be worth then, Malcolm? Sorry to keep bringing it back to money, but people are interested.
I would think probably about £300 or £400.
And why not? And if you're going to paint a dragon, you might as well paint one with 5 claws, because the 5-claw dragon is the luckiest and highest ranking dragon in Chinese culture, isn't it?
That's right.
Wow. Okay.
We'll go over to, just let me go over here. This is one of my favourite kites.
Okay. Which doesn't actually look like a kite.
No, beautifully painted by hand again.
Chinese?
Chinese, yes. And you'll notice these things up above it.
Are these the whistles that you've demonstrated?
These are whistles, yes. And again, just by blowing, they make a noise.
Wow, so that'll make a racket going through the...
It certainly does, yeah. There's about 80 whistles on that particular one.
And each panel hand painted?
Yes, every one, yes.
I mean, seriously, again, I keep referring to them as art, but they really are pieces of art.
I've just found a picture of my land yacht.
Okay, this is what introduced you to the world of kiting.
What started me off.
That's interesting. Yes. Okay. Isn't it funny how things work out?
That is some of the friends from all parts of the world. They come to visit me.
Just outside your house?
About 20 years ago, this is Mr. Harper, made the Chinese kite. They're from Cambodia, from Germany, from Japan, from Switzerland, Belgium. That's me with the kite you'll see later.
That's incredible.
There's the hamburger Iqbal.
Isn't that lovely?
The hamburger kite.
So you've made lots of great friends around the world with this.
Yes.
Are you going to miss the collection when it goes?
Certainly. I'll keep a few odd ones. This is a caricature of me. I didn't know for my birthday, and I was quite young at the time. But my wife sent some pictures off of my favourite kites, and a picture of me.
That's lovely.
To someone to paint, and this is what they came back with. So it was a birthday present. There's the dragon, which you've seen. This you're going to see shortly.
Oh, that's lovely.
And that's me when I had hair.
I know the feeling. So that's you, the Kite Man.
That's it.
Malcolm the Kite Man.
That's the Kite Man.
Brilliant.
So I think.
Shall we have a wander around?
Have a wander around.
Yeah.
We've done everything there. Put some lights on. We're going to go.
And is this your lovely wife?
Oh, yes. She won't be happy with that.
Oh, I'm sure she will be. Right. Oh my goodness me, they're everywhere.
This is a kite I got made for me while I was in Bali. And this is the kite maker. One of the best kite makers in Indonesia.
Malcolm, can I ask, you've got all these kites. I mean, do you buy them to fly them, or do you just buy them because you love them?
No, everyone's flown.
You've flown them all?
Everyone has to fly this. It's not really a kite. It's just...
Okay.
It has to be flown, and that's it. This is Korea, where they make beautiful kites, and they used to use kites like this with different colours on and different shapes.
Yeah.
And in battle, from a hilltop, they could tell another trooper, what to do by the colours and the arrangement of that. So it's just
well, it's like the Royal Navy sending flag signals.
exactly,
Same thing,
exactly
isn't it?
the same, exactly.
So kites were used in war as well.
Oh yes, certainly. With in the Second World War, we used very big box kites with bombs on.
Did we?
Over London, and the bomb was on the ground. The kite was in the sky with a line, and if an aeroplane came along, it hit the line, and it kept flying, and it meant that the bomb now was coming up towards the aircraft, and blew it out of the sky.
I never knew that.
No, it's
that is
remarkable. Very,
remarkable.
clever mechanism they had on the ground that released. It felt like.
And so literally the aircraft picked up a bomb.
That's right. Yes.
And it did work.
Yes. No. It saved again hundreds and hundreds of lives.
I didn't know that at all.
So
we've gone Korea. This you said was Bali. Did you say?
Bali. Yes,
yeah. So again, we're all in the Far East. This is where the big market is. Now, what about these?
We're going to a few of my kites from India. I have a lot more, but obviously I don't have the space to.
Okay.
So these are made in India, Nepal, and Pakistan.
Very different, aren't they?
They're very different, and they are fighter kites.
I've heard of these fighting kites. Right, tell us all about that.
Very, very simple. Two spars on the back.
Yeah.
Tissue paper. You could buy 5 for about £1. You know, they really are very cheap. What they used to be.
Yeah.
And it's very unstable. If I go like that, and if I tried to put a line on that, it would go. Wouldn't know which way to go or what. It would just crash in the ground. Basically.
All right. So it's kind of literally a destructive kite.
It's a fighter, and if I pull on the line, if there was wind,
yeah,
it would be bowed back. Can you see I'm pulling it there?
Mm-hmm.
So it means it would go that way. If I let go or not let go, let the line slack, it goes flat again.
Right.
Then it will rotate this whole way, and then when it's pointing the right way direction, you pull again, and it would go that way.
Is it quite complicated to manoeuvre?
It is a little bit to start with, but it doesn't take long to
Now explain to the viewers how kites are made to fight.
Right, well on these they use powdered glass on the kite lines.
Right.
They break pottery up as well and stick it on the line, so when it crosses somebody else's line, it'll cut through the line.
And that's the whole idea of kite fighting, to
try and destroy or get rid of your opponent. Basically.
And then the opponent's kite just flies off into the distance.
Exactly that. And then that's the problem. The children run after them, of course, because they can keep them. But there is a big problem, is that because of the kite line has got this nasty powdered glass on, when it comes down, it goes across roads, down in streets, and a lot of motorcyclists get garroted.
Oh, you are kidding me.
And children, again, get... it's really sad, and they're trying to, in fact, ban kite flying.
So it literally kills people?
Yes, we have about 100 deaths a year.
Really?
Yes.
But I hear it is very popular. There's some pictures here.
Yes, this is how they would do. They fly from the top of the roofs, and there would probably be about 1 million to 2 million kites in the sky at any one time.
What? As many as that?
Oh, yes, probably more. The next week I'm supposed to be over there. Me and my wife were invited to go to the festival there. The other thing is, of course, these people on the roof.
Yeah.
They fall off the roof because they're so engrossed. There's a few people killed, I'm afraid, because they fall off the roof.
So it's a pretty dangerous sport then.
And this is something from India. Can you see? Flying kites and playing on open roofs is a bad habit.
Oh, I see. Okay, so hang on. So this is a health and safety poster, yes. Bad habits from India.
Yes.
So kite, playing on the road and travelling on the fast boards. Okay, again, kites, flying kites. Oh, I see, yeah. So, I mean, we think of kites as a very healthy pastime in the West, which it is, but not so in the East. If you're flying with fighting kites. How amazing. Right, what have we got down here?
Right, we're going to go to Japan, which is completely different. Now, if you just have a quick look at this.
Go on.
This is the map of Japan.
Yeah.
All these places are different districts of Japan.
Right.
So if you're in Tokyo, I'm not quite sure where that one is now, but we'll say this is Tokyo. These are the kites that would be made in Tokyo.
Oh, I see. Okay,
If you were in another region, you'd make those kites. If you were in somewhere, you'd make those. And they wouldn't make each, they all would stick to their own kites. They wouldn't know how to do the kites.
So this is identical to the world of pottery and porcelain.
Exactly.
Because there will be different districts making different types. Okay, absolutely amazing.
And there is hardly any kite makers left in Japan.
Okay, again, is it because just popularity is waning?
The children, well, they want to be on the computers, jobs with computers and things like that.
Yeah, it's something that needs addressing, I think.
You will see now, Japanese kites are completely different to Chinese kites, mainly flat or board, but these are famous warriors, famous actors.
So we're talking about samurais here, aren't we?
Samurai, yes.
And do they fly any differently, Malcolm?
No, just the same, just very stable Japanese kites.
So again,
bamboo, and this is the sign of a good kite. Can you see this paper on there?
Yeah.
I'll turn it over, whichever I can do. You might have to come round here and look at the back of the kite. Can you see it's all over?
Yeah.
That allows, when they put the paper onto the bamboo, normally it would stick there for a little while, but with having paper on, it makes it much more secure. And
so this is just a little telltale of a good kite.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
And again, to buy something like that today,
that would be about £600.
Right. Okay.
Behind you, a bit more, made by the same kite maker.
Again, all hand painted.
Yes. Again, there's the crane and the wave, symbol of long life.
And do people actually buy these as pieces of art and hang them in?
Oh yes,
yes. London apartments.
That's right. Yes.
Why not?
Yeah, they are wonderful piece of art. This is a one for life, birth and things.
Oh
like
yes.
That. These are all long life and things to make you grow up healthy and.
There's so much symbolism involved in all Eastern pieces, and now I'm discovering kites as well.
He meditated for, I think it was 8 years.
Oh yeah.
So he's a symbol of
well, it must be patience.
That's
surely.
Patience. That's right, exactly. Yeah, and he's around everywhere in Japan. He's there in churches, and these are some of the big kites that are flown.
Wow, they're massive. What is the biggest kite you've ever flown?
Well, I did help slightly to fly the world's biggest kite, which is owned by a friend of mine. It cost over £70,000.
Right.
And it's what we call an aerofoil. Air goes in the front. It's like a pillow, basically, with and that had to be anchored to a 20-ton truck. The flying line alone was £5,000. It was about that thick. And
how big would it be in the sky?
It was probably 100 metres. Would it be 100 metres? No, maybe not 100 metres, but probably about 50 metres.
Wow.
And you have to be very careful with kites like that.
I think very careful indeed. And with the biggest kites in the world, how many people would be needed to hold them if they weren't anchored?
You just would not. Even 1,000 people, I would think, would be dragged along the ground.
So they have to be anchored to vehicles.
The biggest constructive vehicles that are used on building sites, bulldozers and things like that. Yeah.
Really? So the power of nature,
yes,
power of the wind with the kite. Wow.
And now we're thinking of using kites for generating electricity.
Oh, that's a good
idea.
idea.
By making a kite go like this through the sky, they can generate electricity from down below, from mechanisms which have rollers and things to make it.
Well, what a jolly good idea.
Put them in the sea, because the sea is the same as air, and the tide comes in and out, and the tide can fly in the sea as well.
Wow, okay, so there is a future for kites. It may not be children these days, sadly.
There's a lot of development going on with it. This one is a little girl. I have the female as well. If your daughter was ill, you'd go to the kite maker and get one of these made, and they'd bring it back to you and they'd put it above your bed.
Huh.
And then after 3 days, the tongue hanging out is supposed to absorb all the illness.
Oh.
So you go and fly on the 3rd day, you cut the kite line, and all that illness is supposed to go away.
What a lovely idea.
But if you find one in the forest or woods where you are, please don't pick it up because you will get the illness.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes, so be aware.
Okay.
So again, a typical reel in Japan. This is where they fight with kites, but big kites.
And that's actually connected to a kite?
That's right, yeah.
Oh, it's a serious business. Okay, Japan, where else are we going to go now?
We'll just go to, we'll go to where kites were invented, basically.
Okay.
And these kites are from Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and New Zealand. So these are all traditional kites that have been made for hundreds of years.
Wow. And that one there looks very organic, doesn't it?
Yes, if you just, we'll go towards it. This is a kite made purely of leaves and bamboo. And this is the leaves.
I see. Okay, so this is going back in time.
They would overlap like that, and then we get a piece of wood or bamboo, and sew it through, and then you can see there are only short bits of bamboo, but they go past it, and it's joined to the next one, and the next one, and the next one.
That is actually leaf. Can I touch it?
Yes, yeah.
That's a leaf. It is a
Yes,
leaf.
yes.
That is so incredibly delicate, though, Malcolm.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. There's probably not another one in Europe like this.
My goodness me. I mean, can people actually still make these things?
Oh, luckily in the villages in Indonesia and on the islands they still do, yes. Very rare indeed, this kite. It was given to me by a special group, and if you look behind you, some pictures of them. You see those represented with the kite.
Okay, and
you cannot buy these kites.
So that is the kite, and there you are. My gosh, Malcolm, you have done some miles, haven't you?
Jeanette, yeah.
It's your new wife.
And he's the head of the island, basically.
What a lovely gift.
Exactly, yes.
Incredible gift.
This is from Thailand. In Thailand, only the royalty were allowed to fly kites for hundreds of years. That's the male kite, and this is the female. It takes 18 people to fly this kite on the team. 18 people? 18, yes. Why 18 people? There's a catcher, there's a fellow who lets the line out, there's somebody who does this, and somebody does that.
Wow.
And this is the female.
So these things are very culturally important.
Oh, exactly, yeah. Now, do you know ripstop nylon? Ripstop nylon.
I can't say I do. What is it?
Well, it's a cloth that was invented, that's probably 30, 40 years ago. It's material you'd use on tents and things like that, and it has an extra strong thread every now and again going through it, so it makes it so it can't tear very far.
Right.
To that. So this is very similar. Maybe you can see it better on this one here. Can you see this strong line going through?
Oh,
there?
I see it. Yes, I see it.
So the idea of it's kite fighting again. This one has to try and wreck this kite.
Right.
So she's got razor blades on and blades and all sorts of things, trying to.
It's like a happy marriage, isn't it?
Yeah. Trying to wreck this kite. So there's a big skill in it.
That's incredible.
And I was very lucky to have these given from there.
You really do need to write a book about all of this, Malcolm, because I didn't realise that there was...
I can't read and write, that's my problem.
Oh, gosh.
No, it really is very difficult.
And where are we going now?
Yeah, Malaysian kites, by the way, beautiful Malaysian kites.
Gosh. So it's all the Far East. Did we ever have an industry in the West making kites?
Yes, Peter Powell was one of our most famous kite makers. He developed a two-line kite that you control, like they did with the bomber.
Yeah.
And you could control it. It had a wonderful tail on, and it must have it became Toy of the Year. That's right. In
okay. But truly, as a toy, there's no real cultural importance in the West attached to kites, is there?
Well, only a Cody kite is a box kite. And also, it's a box that started adding wings to it, and he found in wartime, in the First World War, they used for lifting observers at sea so they could see where the enemy was.
Oh, I see.
So that was Buffalo Bill, by the way, who did that.
Bill?
He came over with his tribe and went round all the cities doing shows, but his hobby was making kites. So
who knew that about Buffalo Bill?
Very, very famous man.
Right, I'm following you, Malcolm.
Right. This next room we're going to go. These are all bedrooms, by the way, that I'm using.
Well, yeah, they're not bedrooms anymore, are they?
No. This is just a little bit of bits and pieces.
Oh well, I mean, I kind of recognise that kind of. Would you call that a box kite?
It's a box kite,
yeah.
Basically.
So that's very Western, isn't it? It's the first Western.
This is about 40 years old, I think.
Okay.
40 years old, and it flies extremely well.
Huh.
That's just about to take off.
Where's that?
That's in Italy. We go to Cervia Kite Festival every year.
Wow.
Fantastic festival.
When you dispose of the collection, are you still going to be active in the world of kites at the
yes.
exhibitions?
I will have my own collection, you know.
A small collection to travel with,
exactly, that's right.
And this, I assume, is Japanese?
That's Japanese.
Oh, Malcolm, honestly, I don't know. I mean, are you actually still buying kites or not? When did you last buy a kite?
I think the last one was my dragon, the first dragon you saw.
Which was how long ago?
Bali. That was about 2 years ago.
Okay, you've got to stop buying kites, Malcolm. You've got enough kites.
Yeah, that's what my wife tells me. These kites... I used to organise kite festivals, and I would invite Japanese kite makers, the best. They would come over. They would make the kites actually in the room in the hotel.
In Britain?
In Britain, they couldn't bring them like that, of course. So
right.
They would have the wood. They would have painted the actual covering before they came. And they all had it wrapped up in tubes, and then they would make it in the.
And so they were made in England?
Yeah, and again, this one's flown with, can you see that bit up there?
What's that?
That flaps around and makes a fantastic roaring noise.
Oh, right, okay.
And you can see inside the drum this, and it makes such a large amount of noise.
My goodness me, Malcolm.
Chinese. These were made by a girl in Germany who came up with this design. This is a unique design. No one's ever tried before. Okay,
so this is a Western design then?
That's right, yes. Jim, two girls make similar. Can you see these are the bridles? There's probably 40 bridles on this kite, as you can see. These are just.
And why are these any different to ordinary kites?
Well, it's just completely different to what everybody else thinks about kites.
Fair enough.
They're artists and have a mind different too.
Okay.
So.
And are they particularly valuable, Malcolm?
Yes. They're in the hundreds, high hundreds now. They've gone up a lot.
Well, I can imagine. I mean, the work involved is absolutely astonishing.
This is one from Bali. And everyone thinks this is, difficult to fly. That looks difficult.
It would look difficult.
It's probably the easiest kite that I've got in my collection.
I mean, that to me is a bit mad because, I mean, seriously, it looks like it should be flapping all over the place, but it flies well.
Well, yes. What's happened? The wind comes this way. This and the back keep it straight so it doesn't go that way. These produce the lift. The wind goes under there and off there and lifts it up in the sky, and you have a little line there.
Wow.
And it just goes up by itself. Right.
I'll follow you.
A bit further yet. Keep the lights on. We're now going into Japan again. Some of the bigger kites.
Bigger.
I'll just put some more lights on.
Malcolm, I mean, I don't really know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Do you have a particularly favourite kite?
Not really. I like Oriental kites, and I just put them all together. But I do like these. These again made by Japanese specialists who've been making these probably for 50 years.
Tell me about these. What's so different about these?
Well, first of all, the actual bamboo. Can you see it's a little bit of brown?
Yeah.
This would be from the old huts, and they used to live in houses, and they would have a fire in the middle of the house and a roof in the roof a hole where the smoke went through, and that was, the bamboo was up there, so it got darkened.
So this is made using recycled parts?
Yes, yeah. But
and does that have a...
no longer available.
Oh wow, can I touch? They are very tactile, and that has a, what would you call that bow? Does that make a noise?
It's going to make, if I can get it right. It's a lovely noise.
Well, that's an insect noise, isn't it?
There, you can see more of them.
Isn't that a noise of an insect? Is that what it's meant to be?
That's right, yeah.
Now, if you had a couple of hundred of those things flying around, you'd know about it.
There's another.
Oh, I see. Look at that. Look at that one there. I love him. Oh, I see. Proper little bugs, aren't they? Yes. Oh, then you have another like Rodney type of crane. Yes. So you got another Rodney. Now, what's your final top bit of advice then, Malcolm, to anybody interested in getting into the world of kites? What are the benefits? What benefits have you experienced over 50 or 60 years, and how do they best go about it?
Well, join a kite club to start with, I think, and then go to a kite festival where they'll be very helpful as well. I say it could be an expensive hobby.
Well, you're a couple of $100 in.
Yes. Just people will teach you. We want everyone to fly, basically.
Yeah.
So we will teach you all you want to know, and go to kite workshops. Some of the kite clubs have workshops. It's we're very healthy pastime. If you get recognised, you're invited to go to all parts of the world: China, Japan, America, and Malaysia.
Wow.
Everywhere in the world.
So there's nothing negative about flying kites, apart from the money.
The only negative thing, if there's no wind.
If there's no wind, but it's good for body, mind, and soul.
Everything, yes, everything. In fact, I wanted to show you a little kite.
Oh.
I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see that.
I think I'll probably just be able to move in with the...
Or maybe go in with that.
Let's have a look. Yes. Now, they are absolutely minuscule. What's the story there? They don't fly, do they?
Yes.
They do.
These, I was told it's made by the samurai. If they've been in a battle or in the middle of a battle, on the evening, they want to relax. So they would take a bit of rice paper, a bit of bamboo, and make these kites and decorate them with a warrior on them, and fly them over the hot stoves, coals, to relax and just, fly a little kite over them.
A little bit of meditating.
That's exactly, yes.
In preparation for battle.
Preparation for battle, yes.
Goodness me.
Very, very rare again.
Malcolm, we could go on all day, and I would seriously love to. I really would.
Well, there's lots more, but you've seen quite a lot.
I've seen quite a lot, and I want to thank you on behalf of me. And we're off again. Right, okay.
You have to be over here to see this.
Right, okay. Oh, well, what? He's Japanese, I'm assuming.
Japanese, yes.
He's enormous.
4 meters by 3 meters.
Samurai.
That's when he's ready to launch. This one I had a kite festival in Cleethorpes, and I invited 4 Japanese kite makers, the best, and they flew into a small airport from Holland, and when I took them back to fly back, they wouldn't allow the kites on the plane, so that I had to buy them basically off them.
Bought the kites off them?
Exactly, yeah.
Almost at the airport?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's obvious that the world of kites has taken you on some pretty big adventures around the world.
Yes, I met lots of royalty on the way as well. Prince Charles. And
is he into flying kites?
Yes, I'll tell you a quick story. I won an award for some money to go to China, the British Council, and I went to a reception where he came round and shook our hands, and he asked me what I did, and I said, well, I fly kites, and I was off to China. He says, oh, I remember when they were on the Britannia on the honeymoon, they'd been given a kite as a present, and he said, I asked one of the members of the Britannia to go on the back of the Britannia. He touched the line, he gave that to Charles, the line to flip, and he said, let go, and it went up straight up, and he said he had to let go. He burnt his hands because the line went straight through it. It was so powerful. He said, I learned 2 things that day. first you must wear gloves, and the second, tell the pilot of the ship to slow down a bit.
Final top tip on flying a kite.
That's right.
From Prince Charles.
Yes.
And from you, Malcolm the Kite Man.
Now King Charles.
Now King Charles, of course.
Yes.
Yes, well, I'll pass on your best to him if ever I meet him.
That's very nice of you.
Malcolm the Kite Man, what a delight and a great pleasure.
And I'm sorry I've made so many mistakes, but that's just how I am.
No, there's no editing involved here. It's absolutely wonderful to meet you. Thank you very much indeed.
No, thank you for coming, which is really appreciated, because I want to try and get the story out there about kites.